सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ नमो नारायणाय। 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 ॐ यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनः यस्यान्तं न विदुःसुरासुरगणाः देवाय तस्मै नमः देवाय तस्मै नमः। Let us chant from verse number 9. न च मां तानि कर्माणि निबध्नन्ति धनञ्जय उदासीनवदासीनम् असक्तं तेषु कर्मसु मयाध्यक्षेण प्रकृतिः सूयते सचराचरम् हेतुनानेन कौन्तेय जगद्विपरिवर्तते अवजानन्ति मां मूढाः मानुषीं तनुमाश्रितं परं भावमजानन्तः मम भूतमहेश्वरम् मोघाशामोघकर्माणः विचेतसः राक्षसीमासुरीं चैव प्रकृतिं मोहिनीं श्रिताः। The 9th chapter begins with Bhagavan praising Arjuna, saying, Arjuna, hey Anasuyave, the one who doesn't find fault with this great teaching. So because you have this great virtue, since your mind is very pure, I will give you the highest knowledge, Jnanam Vijnana Sahitam, that knowledge which can be directly experienced. What is the benefit? Yajñātva mokṣyase ashubhat, with which you will be free from the most inauspicious thing. What is the most inauspicious thing? Taking birth in this world, because everything is painful. What is the glory of this knowledge? Rajavidya, Rajaguhyam, Pavitram, Uttamam, Pratyakshaavagamam, Dharmyam, Susukham, Kartum Avyayam. That knowledge which is a royal secret, royal knowledge, something which can be easily practiced, something which takes us to our true nature, something which is the most purifying, and something after attaining which you will never lose it. Avyayam. So what is that knowledge? Maya tatamidam sarvam jagat avyaktamurtina. Arjuna, I am present in the whole world in my unmanifest form. So what are the different points which Bhagavan says? So point number 1, let us put in Sanskrit terms. Number 1, Sarvagataha. Point number 1, Sarvagataha, all pervading. Maya tatamidam sarvam means what? I pervade the whole world, meaning the truth is all pervading, Sarvagataha. Number 2, Avyaktaha. Avyaktamurtina. Avyakta means what? In my unmanifest form. Bhagavan is pervading the whole world, but why are we not able to see him? That is because he is avyakta, unmanifest. What is the definition of being unmanifest? That which cannot be perceived through our senses. That is called as unmanifest, avyakta. So point number 2, avyaktaha. Indriya agocharaha, another term. Number 3, so Bhagavan says, the whole world is in me, I am not in them, they are not in me. So in short, what Bhagavan is saying is, mithya jagat adhishthanam. This is the third point. Adhishthanam is a support. Bhagavan is a support. Support of what? Jagat adhishthanam. For the whole world, Bhagavan is a support. But what kind of world is it? Mithya jagat. The world which is illusory. Mithya jagat adhishthanam. This is the third thing. Fourth thing, Bhagavan says, I am not affected by them. So therefore, fourth one, in Sanskrit we can say, asangaswarupaha, unaffected by the world. It is natural. Just like the screen is unaffected by the movie happenings, because the movie happenings are unreal, the screen is real. The real cannot be affected by the unreal. In the same way, any happenings in this world cannot affect the real substratum. So, asangaswarupaha is the fourth one. Fifth one, Bhagavan says, all beings, they emerge from me, they exist in me, they dissolve in me. So put in Sanskrit, it will be Jagataha Srishti Sthiti Laya Karanam. Bhagavan is a Karanam, cause of what? Of Srishti Sthiti Laya of this Jagat. Srishti means creation. Sthiti means sustenance. Laya means dissolution. So the whole world comes from Bhagavan, remains in Bhagavan. dissolves in Bhagavan. Jagataha srishti sthiti laya karanam. Then Bhagavan says, I don't do anything. So we can call Bhagavan kartrutva bhoktrutva rahitah. These Sanskrit terms I am using because when you see it in scriptures, you will become familiar. You see, all these in Sanskrit chanting, all these terms will come. Kartrutva bhoktrutva rahitah. Kartrutva means sense of doership. I did it. That is called as kartrutva. Bhoktrutva means sense of enjoyership. I enjoy. All of us, we have this. I did it, I am enjoying. So that is called as kartrutva bhoktrutva. So there is no kartrutva, sense of doership, when the whole thing is created. There is no bhoktrutva in Bhagavan, there is no kartrutva in Bhagavan, there is no sense of doership and enjoyership. So therefore we use the term kartrutva bhoktrutva rahitah. So this is the essence of what all we have discussed. And that Lord is the very self in us. The whole world is existing in our mind. The mind is nothing but thoughts. Thoughts are existing in our consciousness. This consciousness is the Lord. This is the essence. So where is the whole world existing? In that consciousness. Consciousness is the sum and substance. It is the very substratum. Right. So what is the glory of this knowledge? The glory of this knowledge is where is Bhagavan? Bhagavan is right here as the very self in us. So when we see the glory of this world, naturally we have a sense of reverence for the creator of the world. So where to search that creator? Not in the world, but in ourselves, in the very I in us. That is where you have to search the creator of the world. What will happen to those people who don't know this knowledge or who don't care for this knowledge? Verse number 11 and 12 are dedicated for such people. So what does Bhagavan say? Avajananti ma mudhaha. Such ignorant ones, mudhaha. Avajananti mam. They ignore me. They disrespect me, disregard me. They don't believe in me. Manushim tanum ashritam. I am there in the hearts of everyone. As a human being, we are even given the ability to think, to discriminate. I am in the hearts of everyone, but the foolish people, ignorant ones, deluded ones, they ignore me. Bhagavan, who are you? Param bhavam ajanantaha, not knowing my glory. Bhagavan, what is your glory? Mama bhuta maheshwaram, I am the Lord of this whole universe, the Lord of all beings. That Lord, you can directly meet that Bhagavan, experience that Bhagavan. Where is He? He is right there in our own hearts, shining as the very consciousness in us. But the foolish people, they completely ignore me. I don't believe in God. Why you don't believe in God? Because I don't see God. Okay, you don't see God. You say God is there. No, show me, where is God? Can you show God? So Bhagavan himself has said, Avyakta murtina maya tatam. You cannot show God because God will never come under the purview of our sense organs. In a pure heart, He has to be experienced. So foolish people, they don't believe in this knowledge. So what happens when their understanding is faulty? See, this is right understanding. What is right understanding? the whole world is existing in God, then God is a very consciousness in me. This is the right understanding. So what happens when we don't have this right understanding? What happens? Naturally we will have some wrong understanding. And based on this wrong understanding, we start living our life. How do we live our life? That is the essence of verse number 12. How we mess up our life with this wrong understanding. So what happens to us? Mogha asha, mogha karmanaha, mogha jnanaha vichetasaha. Our knowledge is faulty, mogha jnana. And naturally when the understanding about the world, about ourselves is faulty, everything else becomes faulty. Mogha asha, our desires, our hopes, they become faulty. Mogha karmanaha, our actions become faulty. You see, when there is no light in the room, you are standing, sitting, walking, everything becomes a problem. Whatever you do becomes a problem because you don't know what you are doing, isn't it? So what happens to such people? The entire life is wasted chasing the illusory things, completely extroverted, misunderstanding what is happiness, what is peace, what is intelligent living. Everywhere there is mistake. So what happens to them in general? Rakshasim, Asurim, Mohinim, Prakritim, Shritaha. They are endowed with this Prakriti, this nature. What is their nature? Mohinim, completely deluded. Mohinim, Rakshasim, cruel, selfish, Asurim, sensuous. Because now, according to them, happiness is in the outer world. Inside me there is no happiness. So all of them, they become extroverted, trying to find peace and happiness in the outer world, completely living a sensuous, indulgent, selfish, extroverted life. This is what happens. So what is the purpose of their life now? A person who doesn't even believe in God, where is the question of God realization? The first step is belief in God. Then comes effort to reach God, to experience God, etc. Their entire life becomes misdirected by their wrong notions. So this is the description of those people who have missed the point in life. Unfortunate ones. On the other hand, what happens to the blessed ones? That is what is described in verse number 13 and 14. So there is a comparison given. Wise people and the foolish people. So now comes a description of the wise people. What do they do? Verse number 13. Mahatmanastu mam partha Daivim prakritim ashritaha Bhajantyananya manasaha Jnatva bhutadim avyayam Mahatmanastu mam partha Daivim prakritim ashritaha Bhajantyananya manasaha Jnatva bhutadim avyayam. Tu means on the other hand. On the other hand. On which hand? So till now the description was about the foolish people, ignorant people, disregarding God, disbelieving in God, and therefore living a completely unintelligent life. On the other hand, Mahatma, So the term given for wise people, what is the term given? Mahatmanaha. Mahatma means what? Atma means the self. Mahatma means what? People with big self. People with big self means highly egoistic person? No. See, in us there are two selves. One is a lower self, the individual self, the ego, and there is the higher self. In all of us we have two, the lower and the higher. The ego is the lower, the BMI, the body, mind, intellect is the lower, and the pure consciousness is the higher. So, Mahatma means the one who lives a life paying attention to the higher. Because the law in this life is, whatever you pay attention to, that you will get. If you just pay attention to the lower, you will remain in the lower. If you pay attention to the higher, you will get the higher. Whatever you choose, you get. What do the foolish people do? Avajananti mam. They ignore the higher, disregard the higher, so therefore they remain in the lower. What about Mahatma? They focus upon the higher, and therefore they get the higher. That is why they are called as Mahan Atma. The one with the higher self. The one who operates in this world holding on to the higher. So such people are called Mahatmas. So what happens to them? Mahatmanaha tu, he Partha. He Partha. Partha means what? Oh, son of Kunti. Kunti's name is Pritha. He Partha. Whenever Bhagavan speaks about Mahatmas, etc., his heart is filled with love for Arjuna. Oh, dear son of Kunti, Mahatmas, what is their nature? Deivim prakritim ashritaha, endowed with Deivim prakritim. Deivim means what? Divine. Prakriti is nature. Mahatmas, on the other hand, endowed with divine nature. What about those other ones? We'll call them Kshudratmas. Kshudra means inferior. Kshudratma versus Mahatma. Comparison is given. What about Kshudratma? If here you have Daivim Prakriti, what do you have there? Rakshasim, Asuri, Mohinim versus Devim. Comparison. Devim Prakriti Mashrita, endowed with divine virtues. What are the divine virtues? Devotion, dispassion, knowledge, love, compassion, vision of oneness, humility, straightforwardness. These are all the divine virtues. Daivim Prakriti Mashritaha. So this is what happens to us. When we start meditating upon the higher in us, this is how our personality is transformed. That person becomes Devi, divine. All the virtues of the Lord starts manifesting through that person. When you are in tune with God, godly virtues start manifesting through your life. Devi. Deva means God. Devi means anything associated with God. Devim Prakriti Mashritaha. What do they do? Bhajanti Ananya Manasaha. They worship the Lord, serve the Lord, dedicate their life for the Lord. And what is the state of mind? Ananya Manasaha. Mind is Ananya, endowed with a sense of no otherness. That is called as Ananya. Single pointed devotion for the Lord. This is how they live. But what is that understanding because of which their minds have become single pointed? So that understanding is given here. Jnatva, having known. What is the understanding? Bhutadim avyayam. Jnatva mam bhutadim avyayam iti. This is their understanding. Their understanding is this Bhagavan, who is he? Bhuta Adim. Adi means the very source, the origin of all the bhutas. Bhuta means what? Not ghost. Bhuta. Bhuta means that which has become. That is the meaning bhuta. That has come into existence. Bhava means to exist. Bhuta means that has come into existence. So all beings, Bhuta Adim means the very origin of all beings. Avyayam, and that origin is imperishable. So with this understanding, so this is the understanding which makes their mind single-pointedly devoted to the Lord. That Lord, which is the self in me, it is the imperishable essence in me, and this Lord is the very support of the whole world. Knowing this, with their intellect, they value God. With their mind, they love God. So mind and intellect completely dedicated for the Lord. This is called as Ananya Manasa. And in this way, they do bhajanam. So they also live in this world. They also, just like us, perform their duties, responsibilities, etc. They also have family, children, grandchildren, etc. But there is a huge difference. What is the difference? They are in the world but not attached to the world. Where is their attachment? Attachment to God alone. Right? This is the difference. So therefore, since their attachment is only to the Lord, what kind of Atma they possess? Mahan Atma they are. That Supreme Self is there in every one of us. But the wise people pay attention to that Supreme Self. The foolish people ignore the Supreme Self. And that makes all the difference. In life, what are you paying attention to? And why are you paying attention to? You pay attention to the Supreme Self, knowing the glory of the Supreme Self. So what comes first? Paying attention or knowing? Knowing. That is the first step. Know. And then practice. Jnatva bhajanti. You see? First is jnatva. Know it and then dedicate your life for it. So that makes a whole difference. And now how do they progress in their path of spirituality? That is a verse which comes next. The gradation. That we will see in the next class. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niramayah Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bhag Bhavet Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om.